Well, how's it going, Capital City Baptist Church? Welcome to another Daily Devo. My name is Scott, and if you have not read the passage yet, now would be a great time to pause the video and read 1 Thessalonians 5. We're going to be starting in verse 12, going all the way to 23. Come back and we'll chat about it. Now, we just finished up a three-part devotional series in the book of Jonah, and I kind of liked taking that slow journey through a book of the Bible. And I think I might start another book of the Bible, but I haven't quite settled on what book. In fact, why don't you write down in the comments section, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, which book of the Bible should I tackle first? Now, keep in mind, I'm not going to touch Revelations with a 10-foot pole. Pastor Ken is he's a glutton for punishment, and he's going to be doing that on Wednesday nights. I'm also not touching Songs of Solomon either, but I hear tell that the adult Sunday school is already going through that book, and Kyle kicked it off last Sunday. He's our newest newlywed, which is just sadistic to make a newlywed teach that book. I feel for you, Kyle. Well, anyway, he did a great job, an amazing job. So check it out if you haven't already. At least so I hear, anyway. I'm still not old enough to read Songs of Solomon or hear it exposited on. But if you are of age and you are newly married or have been married for a long time, check out Kyle's Songs of Solomon Sunday School video and the other videos in the coming weeks. So last Saturday, we had an amazing evening service. It was a bring your own picnic / worship service / movie night. We burned the midnight oil. I don't think I got out of there until like 11:30 or something like that. Haven't had a night like that since my college days, which was just last year, but it was legit. And Pastor preached out of 1 Thessalonians, and he talked about being prepared for the end times. And, throughout church history, every single generation of Christians have thought that they would be the last generation before Christ returned. And it seems like every generation there is some crisis that is reminiscent of what the Bible calls the birth pains leading up to the return of Christ. The Crusades, for example, many Christians thought that if they just retook the Holy Land from Saladin's forces, that it would prompt the return of Christ and usher in the millennial kingdom. Well, that didn't really happen, did it? In recent years, we have World War I, the Great Depression, World War II, the Cold War, and a potential nuclear holocaust, Y2K, 9/11, the 2012 Mayan calendar, and now COVID-19. It has been a busy century, y'all. I'm not saying that COVID-19 is not birth pains. I think that it definitely is contributing to the birth pains. But we have been living in the last days since Jesus ascended in 2,000 years ago. He could come back before this video ends, or he could come back in another 2,000 years. I'm hoping for the former and not the latter, but I trust God. So Thessalonica was not a hospitable city for the early church. You'll remember that Paul was chased out of town and he didn't dare go back. And the Christians living in that city, they faced a ton of hardship and persecution. And Paul writes this letter to encourage them that there would be a day when Christ returns, and these sufferings, there's going to be an end to that. And in the final greetings here in chapter 5, he explains how we as Christians are going to live amidst hardship, but in the meantime, in between time, how are we to live in that hardship before Christ returns? Well, first and foremost, hoping you read the text, Paul commands the Thessalonians to honor those who are in leadership. These are pastors. I know for a fact that Pastor Ken never took a class in seminary on how to run a church and do ministry in the midst of a global pandemic and racial unrest, all wrapped up in an election year. No pastor did. And so there has been a lot of debate. Should we meet? Should we not meet? Online only? Should we meet outside or meet inside with social distancing? Do we need to wear masks? Like what do we do? And every church has a different approach to it. And let me tell you, unless a pastor is encouraging his congregants to open mouth kiss each other during the greeting, or outright deny that there is a pandemic, there are no wrong answers. The important thing is that we as Christians need to honor those who have had to make these incredibly hard and huge decisions regarding the safety of their flocks and the community that they're called to serve. We are called to live at peace with one another and to warn those who are disruptive. And it's too easy to criticize folks from our armchairs while we scroll social media and take pot shots at people and ideas that we can't stand. But God calls us to something different. He calls us to be peacemakers. With hard times comes discouragement. And I would be lying if I told you that I have not been discouraged this year. There is a lot to be discouraged about. But now is the time for us to come alongside one another, those who are weakest and most vulnerable among us, and give encouragement to them. As Christians, we know that life this side of eternity is not going to be easy. There are demonic spiritual forces out there that are set against us. And oftentimes those spiritual forces uses other people as weapons to come against us. And it's important for us to focus and remember that those people are not our enemies. Many times they are just hurting and broken people that are slaves to sin that we need to love. Paul tells us that Christians are not to be counterpunchers, swinging wildly at people that set themselves against us, but for us to seek the good of everyone, even those who oppose us. Paul also urges believers to not treat prophecy with contempt, but to be discerning when it comes to prophetic teachings. You can go on YouTube right now and type in end times into the search bar, and you will find a bajillion videos of people in their basements giving their hot take on how COVID is going to usher in the Antichrist. A few good questions to ask is, does this content invoke fear or rage towards other people? Does it motivate me to love people, or does it tempt me to demonize them? And if it tempts you to think of people as less than image bearers of God, we need to call into question those teachings. Paul commands us to reject what is evil and to hold on to what is good. I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of pastors or preachers or people in their basements who are going to be exposed as false prophets after COVID-19 because their prophecies didn't come to fruition. Or maybe they'll be exonerated as completely right. I have my doubts, but we will see. Time will tell. Finally, Paul gives us encouragement by reminding us that we are all on the same journey of sanctification. This is a process in which every day we look more and more like Jesus. It is through this process in which the broken pieces deep within us are made whole and complete in Christ. Well, I pray that you were blessed by today's Devo. Have a wonderful week, church fam. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Smash that bell. Oh, that's so corny.